All right.
All right.
Welcome. I was gonna say welcome to the short bus. Strap your helmet on because this is gonna probably be a bumpy ride. I was
All
kind of
right.
also wait. I was gonna say usually takes a few minutes for my Rumble to notification to go out. Okay.
Yeah, this isn't pre-recorded. This is live. Some people were asking if it was pre-recorded.
Oh yeah, this definitely is
I have.
pre-recorded. So, Ron. So you're was the NV CAP?
Oh, sorry, I was playing you. What's the question?
I said, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let me just start right there.
So, so I started as a decoy for PP Mass. If you know, like PP Mass, predator catcher in Massachusetts. And then I started, catching. So I kind of had a main issue with predator catchers being branded as like vigilantes and kind of like not really making a distinction between, I guess, people like, you know, like going around beating up predators for like clout or something like that, or to, a legitimate investigative journalistic movement by investigating online predators and putting that information, to the public and to law enforcement. So NCAP, what it stands for, is Nonviolent Citizens Against Predators, and I started that in 2021, around in the summer of 2021.
So I mean, so you started out as a decoy. So did you ever eventually go into catching?
Yeah, last
Okay.
couple of years.
How many catches have you had?
I mean, as far as like on my own, I would estimate that number to be around 30 to 40. But I've been on like a lot more than that. But I would say somewhere between 30 and 40.
Hmm. How many convictions have you had?
So as far as convictions, there was one sex offender. His name was Jamie in Connecticut, where essentially him violating parole was meeting with my decoy, me, and he was jailed until 2025. But I worked with a lot of within a lot of, like, I think districts or counties rather, that kind of dropped the ball. So I'm actually not really too much actually, but I would consider that a conviction.
No.
No conviction.
I don't know what a Shorty has already failed by interviewing Ron at the same time. CPP is having a. Oh well, I don't want to say nothing about Tommy. This really isn't about Tommy. This is about the work that Ron has done. So so do you when you how many people have you collaborated with?
I mean, I could just like list names. Like as far as like being on catches with other catchers. I remember I worked with PB Mass. I did a couple catches with Alex. Did catches with protecting the innocent. PCI in Florida. I worked with Wog Kunga, the public watchdog. Like he's in Mass. There's a lot of catchers in Massachusetts. FBK. Trying to think. And Wolf Blaze. He does a lot of catches. And when I was in New York, in around Oneida County, I worked with Tony G and Serena. They were good catchers, and I think they were like one of the best teams like I worked on, where we kind of just all like very coordinated, kind of seamlessly.
Do you believe like some people you have more like I guess I don't know how you would say it, but would you like who was your favorite to work with? Let me just ask that.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough. It's kind of, I'm really bad at answering like any kind of favorite questions.
Okay.
I really like working with like Tony G in New York, where it just seemed like kind of very seamless. But just like there's just a lot of good catchers that in PP Mass, he actually like kind of gave me like the know-how of like kind of how to decoy and kind of how to catch, and so this kind of a lot I learned from PP Mass. And I've coordinated well with other catchers. I'm just not really good with the favorite questions, but I would just have to
Oh
say,
well, I mean, dude, I got to ask that because everybody has different like on my end. There's certain catchers I love to watch and like to hear more about, and there's other people like other catchers. I mean, it's just I guess it'd be a favorite question. Who? Well, let me ask you this: who's your favorite to watch? Like if you sat down and said, "Oh man, I want to see Predator Poacher interview," or "I just want to see PP Mass interview."
Oh man, the favorite questions. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I mean, it's definitely not throwing nobody under the short bus, but it's just.
But yeah, I mean, I would say. I mean, I do like to see some like I for there was like before predator catching was a thing. Creek catchers in Canada,
Wow.
they had a lot of really good catches, and like a lot of those kind of just like stood out as kind of like as kind of like pioneers. And I kind of just like those classic catches, like those really classic catches. A lot of Alex's like early catches, too.
Oh, definitely.
Where I remember like him and his team he roasted this guy like all the way to his house like for like a mile. It was like, yeah, I think he was called like the vacuum pred or something like that, or soy something pred. It was like way back in the day, but generally kind of the like someone that brings up like the raw like the seriousness of like what they're there to do, that it's real and that this goes on, and just like how prevalent it is, that there are people that you walk by every day, people that you really couldn't tell would be like capable of doing very heinous crimes, that are, and that number is a lot more than you think, like way more than you think. It's kind of like where I'll be decoying on, let's say, Grinder or another app, and there'll be a good amount. It's like I'll be banned, but a lot of people like almost like it's like more than one people almost every time are okay with the age, and it's just like the idea of like that's how much people are just in any given location that are okay to basically have some kind of sexual relationship with a 14-year-old.
I
So
was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you what was the sickest pred experience you have. That's a thank you, Doug. He wanted me to ask you that.
well, so I just remember kind of what stood out was it was this catch called the milk pred, or I think that's what he's known. I caught with another catcher that I won't name. That he just what he described what he wanted to do was actually hurt the kid too. So just like that element of I don't know, just that element, I think really just stood out to me as just heinous. But I mean, it's all it's all vile though. It's all disgusting and disturbing. So.
Wow. So what do you think about catchers like DAP that actually? What would if you was going to catch somebody? Would you sometimes want to dap them up, as you would say, or would you rather go like say the Tommy route or the Predator Poachers route, or?
Well, it's kind of a weird thing because like when I started this, I was kind of operating on the paradigm of prioritizing like convictions over exposure, and it's like like basically it's kind of like, here's like the situation is, if the catcher does even everything right, then the next step is the police for them to do everything right, and then for the DA to do everything right, and then beyond that, we like in Massachusetts, even if all those three things work completely right, uh, the maximum for the first time offending of child enticement, which is something I looked into, was 5 years. So it's like basically if you do everything right, it's basically, it's just kind of like a question that when these people do get caught and even convicted, when the system does everything they can only operate within their laws. So it's like, it's kind of a question of so before I kind of had this paradigm of operating like where I prioritize conviction over exposure, where like some people just said like don't even put out the catch before conviction, but it really is important to get them exposed. And like I think what's kind of important to note is the area that DAP works in, they don't do anything. So it really is like a free for all. Like so it's like even if they did everything right, it's kind of a question whether anything would happen to them in any kind of way. Like I think in some areas I recall them saying that like it had to be it has to be a real kid.
Wow.
Where you can't even really like, are they waiting for it to be a real kid? Do they want it to be a real kid? And it's just it really kind of depends on where they're at. Like there's kind of a lot you can do. Like you can try to build a good rapport with the police, and then try to maybe go political and try to get either replace the DA that you have or try to work something out with the DA. But to an extent, it's very limited on convictions because the system is only going to go so far. So it's kind of like, if I see kind of a DAP sketch go on, I kind of understand how that go on, but it's like,
I mean, just to be honest, man, I like when I see a DAP catch, man, it like, in some ways, people that don't know what's really going on and watches a DAP catch, it's kind of like, man, well, they feel kind of bad for the predator and say, why is this guy getting beat up? But, on my end, it's like, when I watch it, I know what's going on, man. It's like, damn, hit him a couple more times, but I still want to see that jail time. I mean, I'm not going to bash that, but, let them bash the Preds, because I think it's, for one thing, when you in the know, man, I think it's really funny, but just like I've heard before, if you hit somebody 5 or 6 times in the face, that'll heal, but you have to get put in prison, man, or jail, whatever, you're not actually going to be able to hurt another kid.
Yeah. And, I mean, something that, the one thing I kind of cringe at is like, I mean, if like they're even going to do that is like when it's like sensationalized. So they make it like, like the slapping the pred and this and that. I mean, I just think like, just don't make it like funny, because it's just not funny. But like, sometimes if it goes down, it goes down. But, I mean, if you do, I think that what I kind of feel like my role is to, prioritize doing this in a way where it's within the laws. And it's like, I kind of just want to make the point of that this is not vigilantism, and that this can be done in a legitimate way where all we're doing is we are at the capacity of a citizen investigating online predators and disseminating that information to the public and law enforcement. And so it's kind of like, it's not my role to do that. But it's kind of like if I see like I don't know, like an article or a video, guy beats up predator. I mean, I'm not really mad at it, but I think it's like, would I do it?
I mean, they definitely deserve it. I mean, they like, I watched one, I think earlier today, and I think I don't know their names, but one of the people that was doing it was literally kicking his ass. I mean, I just had to laugh at it because I knew he deserved that plus more. What do you think should be their like, in your opinion, what would be justice dealt out to a predator?
So my thinking is this: I think if you commit, like the evidence says that these crimes are inherently not rehabilitatable, if that's a word. That they're very likely to reoffend, even if they
Mm.
face up prison time. So I just would say they're just a permanent danger to the public. So I would say they just either they need to be in prison for life, like after they're capable of doing such a heinous thing. I mean, or even if they're capable of those tendencies, like they need to be isolated as a threat away from society at a minimum, where they need to be looked at as a lifelong danger. Like even if they
Mm.
do everything great, but the reality is, like a catch that I recently was kind of a so something happened is like PPMS and I are in the same state, so like a couple times I've caught a lot of the predators that he caught again, and a predator like that it was like one of his first catches. He like actually I went to the where he pled guilty in the sentencing of it, and basically I mean from I think from my read into it, he was it was just like one class, like he just had to basically take a class, and that was kind of it. There was no jail time or anything, so it was like there was basically no penalty at all, and he was just led to roam around the streets, you know, and it's kind of like don't do this again, we'll send you to traffic school. And I don't I mean, so I think really if they're capable of committing this kind of crime, I think it really should be a lifelong penalty where at a minimum they're prevented from being a threat. But I mean, I would really say lifelong incarceration. Um,
Mm. Do you
like, I mean,
think some type of castration or something like that would, or chemical castration? Do you think that would curb them any?
I just don't think it makes sense. Because one, I think that even if you do the castration, I think a lot of those predatory, uh, you know, behaviors is actually the leading cause of why they do what they do, where it's not necessarily just a sex drive.
Mm.
So I just don't think it makes sense. And also, I mean, so basically, I'm kind of against the concept of the death penalty, and like any kind of like something you can't like undo. Like for this one reason is because the cost of uh, you know putting in place something you can't undo is putting someone, like the price tag kind of to that is of doing that to a guilty person is actually unintentionally doing that to an innocent person. So I mean, I don't agree with that as a concept, but I would just say like any kind of thing like that, I would just say life in prison is much worse than
Mm.
them being than them than anything like that. And I just don't think something like castration just makes sense. But if it were to happen, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it doesn't make sense. I don't see the argument for it to make sense. But yeah,
Somebody asked me to drop the link in the chat. Is that okay with you?
yeah, like I said, yeah, I want to be like an open forum, like
Okay.
anyone can do anything, ask any
Definitely,
questions.
man. So I'm gonna drop the link. I mean, I don't want to get porn bombed or nothing, but I just so I somebody was asking to come up. I don't know if they have questions. This is a short bus, man. So you never know what you're gonna get. Hopefully, nothing bad, man. What I'm saying, because I really respect what you do and other catchers does. I know sometimes my channel gets a little wild or whatever, but so do you think the death penalty is a good idea when you're possible? Do you think that's a good idea for a predator?
Well, here's the thing. There's actually two things with that. Is because I think life in prison is a more of a harsh penalty than the death penalty, like
Mm.
unequivocally. Because I think like any kind of scenario where if you're faced life in prison, you basically have to share a cell. There's like lesser prison conditions even for death row. But if you're in death row,
Mm.
you actually have better treatment in prison,
Well,
as
that
as
is
it's
true.
stated, and you're going to be in prison anyway. And a lot of people would just want to kind of be like, all right, so that's just my life. I'm going to be in prison, then I'm going to die. So why not just speed up the process? I would want that. Like I would pick, I never understood how death is looked at as more of a severe punishment than life in prison. Because like, I would just say, let them rot in prison,
Mm.
where
Yeah.
the cost of the death penalty is kind of an unnecessary liability with the death penalty, where um, it's something that you can't really undo. But
Mm.
yeah, so I would just say I would say death doesn't really make sense. I would just say life in prison, life incarceration makes a lot more sense because um,
That's the
it's more
thing,
hard.
man. I just kind of crossed my mind. If you're doing prison, people. I mean, it's notorious for people to sneak cell phones in prison and jail and all that. So, what's going to stop these chomos or predators, or whatever you want to call them, to get a cell phone and start re-abusing somebody on the phone? Because anytime you watch a child porn or whatever, I believe I heard Alex say this, that you're actually victimizing them again.
I mean, is the question like what would stop them from reoffending? Like if they're put back in society?
Well, no, it's not about coming back to society. It's more like, if they're in prison and jail, and there's all right here, they get tablets in prison. What's going to stop these predators from getting a tablet or a phone and watching child porn or CSAM or whatever you want to call it on that device, and and it re-victimizes the kids?
Oh, in prison, you mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I mean, well, I mean, I don't really know exactly how prison works too well, but I would just say, I mean, given it's more under control than being in society, I would just say take more like there just needs to be a lot more control. I
Mm.
mean, I don't know how it is if like you can actually own a phone or a tablet in prison. Can you? I mean,
Oh, if
I
you may not be able to own it, but people, will sneak them in, like put them up their ass and go in jail or whatever, or prison, and sneak them into the prison, and then, jailbreak them or whatever you have to do, and watch the actual CSAM on their phone.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that would be more manageable. Um,
Mm.
if you can isolate the problem within the confines of the government, like whether maybe you can detect unauthorized phones being used, and then just be able to crack down on and track it. It's like now they can. I mean, the same government that can tap your phone and watch you. I mean, I feel like there can just be some technological solution. Um,
Mm.
you know,
But
uh,
I mean, but does that make sense? What I'm trying to ask you, Ryan, my brother?
um, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not understanding like fully the question. Like, what's
Okay.
that? I feel like there could be a technological solution for that. But
See, I mean, if they have that solution, if they, what do you think could be the solution for the, like cutting CSAM and CP off the internet? What do you think would be, what in your opinion, what would be a good solution?
so we're talking about in prison, right?
Yeah, either one, like, or even now, even out in public.
Well, those are kind of two different things, though.
Okay, we'll go with the second one. The How do you think you could cut CSAM or CP off of the internet? In your opinion, what would be a good solution?
Oh, I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, I kind of will have to like hone myself that I've actually never dealt in the realms of like how CP works or things like
Mm,
that. So I mean, other than kind of what we're doing and trying to like law enforcement cracking down, I don't really have a full have a clear answer to that. Like what could be the solution as far as like in society,
mm,
But I mean, in prison, I could see like how you can monitor any kind of traffic or tap a phone or like detect unauthorized devices. But I mean, in society, as far as like generally uh, a solution against CP, I don't think I have any kind of clear answer for that.
Somebody asked, "Yo, short bus, can you please confirm this kid's age? I feel like I'm watching something illegal."
Oh, I mean, are they asking my age?
Well, yeah, if you want to tell, I mean, as long as you're over 18, we're good,
So
man.
yeah, so I'm 29. I turn 30 this October.
Have you ever like did a in person decoy work? Like, oh, I'm gonna go meet this guy. He thinks I'm 12 or whatever or 13.
Like I'm attempting now to lower the age. I tried to do 13. I got like this close to getting them, but I didn't. But basically, the lowest I've ever won was 14.
Mm. Dougie's asked, what inspired you to take action and start in VCAP?
Well, I I mean, well, at first, like it was really like shock value when I first saw predator catching. I was kind of
Mm.
just like watching it, like way back. Like I watched like predator catching since like the Anxiety War days and the Pop Squad days, and even the Chris Hansen days. Like when I was like around like 12 when that was going on. Um, so I guess like the shock value of it, like just like how prevalent the problem is.
Oh, it very is.
And then it was actually when I first met PB Mass, I had no intention of being even a decoy or anything like that. I was an Uber driver at the time, and I was like, maybe I can drive a predator catcher to a catch and help them get to a catch, and that was kind of the full extent of it. But it kind of was mentioned that I looked young, so that was kind of like how it was presented that I would be a good decoy.
Oh,
So I did. I kind of just went with that, and then you know then I became a decoy. Then I became a catcher. So yeah.
so wow, that's actually a wild ride, man. You did say you caught an RSO.
Oh, yeah. Um, James Cloudfilter in Hartford, Connecticut. Um, yeah. From my understanding, as he described, and I believe it's police confirmed, there was actually a real victim. He was actually victimizing while I was
Wow,
catching him, and that was identified. So it's kind of like that's kind of one of those things that no matter whatever happens with any of the predator catching stuff, like or like a channel or whatever, it can be like one of those things I can take to my grave that I like it's like something I did helped bring someone out of danger. And I don't know. I mean,
definitely, man.
that really just made it enough. Honestly, it's something like that.
That's actually awesome, man. You know, when you actually seeing a child be saved from out of this, man, that's like super important, man. That's super important. So, what is the scariest situation you have been on while catching?
I would probably say some people kind of know it as a kidnapping catch, where
Mm,
basically the plan was I was in New Hampshire and I was catching with PD Mass and Alex, and uh, so like we decoyed him, and I think the plan was that I was gonna go in the car and they were gonna I guess get in front of the car and like stop the car as he were to drive off. But the guy had booked on the highway, and the issue was that for about 45 minutes, I was on basically the freeway with the pred, and I was actually live too on my side, um, and I kind of had to be like I all I could really think to do was like look at the locations, like point out locations. Then we finally got his address, so I just said the location on the live, and then they got to his house before, and then they did the sting. But the real issue with that was that if you're on the highway for a long period of time, that increased and especially if like he gets spooked or freaked out, that could cause an accident. So
mm.
I think that would be arguably the most dangerous catch I've been on.
Wow, that's crazy. So you actually got in a car with a. I mean, what was he saying to you? I mean, oh, you want to
Uh,
come back to my house and have a good time, or anything? I mean, what was he actually saying to you while he was in the car?
so I'm trying to remember. I mean, it's all out there, but like that's from my memory. Um, I don't think he was saying too much graphic stuff in the car. My understanding. Some
Mm-hmm.
reason I think maybe that was because he was nervous because I was literally holding up the phone. I tried to play it off like I was on like a chat app, but
Mm-hmm.
I was actually like live in his car basically. like doing the catch, like in the passenger seat and like live on the catch.
Wow.
So you know, so he didn't really. I don't recall him saying too much graphic things. I remember he said like he liked horror movies or something like that. That was just kind of like the.
That's.
It was like I felt like
I
I was
mean,
bored, and I was like,
that,
it just was like, bro, you could have said comedy, you could have said anything, bro. You really had to say horror. You don't have to
that's
think of.
kind of funny, man. That I mean, it's not funny. I mean, it's funny after the fact, but man, it can, well, what if people don't understand that predator catchers are in a lot of danger, especially if you're getting in a car with a predator. I mean, that's actually crazy.
Yeah, and it's a lot of, and then when I got there, I guess like how they played it where they shut the car off and everything. So I wasn't really sure if they like made it there when I got there. But then I heard them get up, get out of the car, and like confront them. And I was like, I had a lot of relief with that because I was like, I mean, my phone was kind of dying, so it would be very difficult for me to do the catch on my end. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, I guess like once I was out of the car, I probably could have handled the situation, but it just would have been very weird, like how I would have to go about it, But uh, that's pretty much
Did,
how that went
did
down.
you have a panic attack or anything while you was in the car?
No, nothing like that. I was nervous though, because like kind of the car accident thing. Like I've been in a lot of car accidents, so
Mm.
so I was kind of worried about that. But nothing like that. And once I knew that they were on the way to the location,
Mm.
then I kind of calmed down a bit, and I tried to, uh, you know, make jokes somewhere funny to kind of like calm the laugh down and kind of myself a little bit, and it actually I kind of was able to calm down and just kind of go with it. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a situation I would recommend doing. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh. No, no, definitely not. How big of a guy are you?
How something of a
How
guy.
big how big of a guy are you? Like how tall are you?
How tall am I?
Yeah.
I'm 5'4".
But man, you oh man, that's even was the predator pretty like a big guy?
Wait, what's that?
Was the predator a really big guy?
Not really. No. I mean, like he actually had like a picture of him in a dress or something like that. So he like himself didn't seem like too like imposing, but it was just kind of he was just a very creepy guy. I mean, like I kind of have more of like a fear of like things like that than anything like spiders stuff like that. I don't know, just creepy things. So I was just like I was kind of creeped out by him. Like I was very creeped out by him, but I mean, as far as like anything like that, I'm not really worried about that. But car wrecks, I'd be worried about.
Oh, so I mean, you're scared of spiders, but the predator that cross dresses, oh man, he's good.
Yeah, it's the human embodiment of a spider. Pretty much. I don't know the equivalent of a
I
spider.
mean, thank God he didn't have a spider in the car.
Yeah,
But
that would have been because that would have been over. Then I would have had a panic attack all the way, and that would have been that would have got real.
would you have jumped out of the car? Because I have to ask you that.
Well, given I'm on the highway and I'm going like over 60 miles an hour, it wouldn't be a good idea to jump out of the car. So I would not have. Oh, if there was a
So I
spider.
mean, so a spider and a predator in the car, you wouldn't have jumped out.
Well, actually, if there's a spider, yeah, it definitely would have jumped out. It would have made more sense, but
going
it
going
jumped out.
60 miles an hour down the road. Oh my God, a spider! And just
Yeah, because
what
it's
if
a
it's like a
spider.
tarantula, man? Okay, okay, man. So
Yeah, like
have you caught?
hopefully I don't catch a pedophile spider in the future. So as long as I can
Oh,
refrain from that, because that would have been pretty bad. Like if I have to catch a spider, like meeting like a younger spider, that would have been pretty bad. I don't know.
let me ask you this: have you caught any female predators?
I have not.
Let's see. Have you decoyed any female predators?
Um, I mean, I would just say, I'm not sure what to attribute to this, but like, there's just a lot of like romance scams going on, where I don't even know if it's really, it's likely not like a female or whatever it is, but basically they agree to the age, and they're willing to, I guess, meet the definition of sexual enticement. But basically, all they're really trying to do is just get you to pay them $50 or $20, and then they'll just bounce. So it's not like I don't think it's a real like woman, or whatever the situation is. But I don't recall. I don't recall decoying a woman predator actually. Now I'm not saying it's impossible. I just think the way, like how that kind of like my understanding how women predators like operate is more in the confines of, maybe they're a work setting or things like that. That's why I hear a lot about like women teachers and things like that. I think they just operate differently. That'd be my argument. I wouldn't say it's like as not prevalent or anything or not a serious issue, but it's not something where it's less likely for them to like meet a kid on an app in that scenario.
So, what do you think causes a person to become a predator?
What does it take for a person to become a predator?
Yeah, what's in your opinion makes turns a person into a predator?
Well, I think that my understanding is the tendencies of being like sexually interested in children, is something within the wiring. But as far as like acting on it, it really takes a profound amount of like, I feel like just having no remorse. I don't know if the word is like narcissism or being a psychopath tendencies. I feel like a combination of like psychopathic tendencies and their wiring to even have a tendency towards children would be the factors to become a predator, which makes them very dangerous. Yeah.
It is very dangerous, man. So, well, that's pretty much it. I got a couple things I need to do, and I appreciate you coming up. And next time, we can maybe make this longer or whatever. But I really do appreciate you coming up and doing this interview.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime.
Oh yeah, and make sure everybody check their kids' devices, and it's that's very important because we don't want no real victims, and that's serious.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a thing with that is make them make. I mean, I'm not a parent or anything, so I can't speak to that. But a lot of kids like get caught up in these situations because they feel like they can't go to their parent about certain things. It's just make it so that make it clear that if to the kid that if they find themselves in a situation where an adult is acting inappropriate with them online, that at the very minimum they feel like they can go to you, so that you can kind of prevent it and have a proper healthy support structure for them. It's kind of more important than punishing them or something like that. So I would just kind of really instill that they feel that you're a safe person to go to if they get caught up in a bad situation.
That's 100% true, man. Because I've always saw if you're really hard on a kid when they get in trouble and stuff, they get more scared to actually come to you when something is wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, kind of muted up.
Oh no, I was talking to Baby Yoda.
Oh.
She walked in here for a minute. Yeah, she walked in here for a minute and she asked me something. But that's I have to actually hop off here. But thank you for coming up, Ryan. And next time we'll get a little bit longer time. And I definitely appreciate you coming up here.
Sure, definitely. Great,
right, man.
Rest of your day.
You too, Ryan. I appreciate you. That's a NCAP. Awesome guy, man, Ryan. I appreciate him coming up. And yes, yeah, definitely. If you kids have devices, man, definitely check them because you never know who's on the other end for sure. Well, everybody have a great Saturday, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.